What you fixin' DIYers? It's Walker with DIWHY.LIFE. And in this episode, we are going to be fixing a nasty scratch on my Insta360 One X2. So I've had this camera for a good couple years now, and I gotta say, I love it. I take it with me all over the place. When I go on vacation, this is the one that I bring with me. My digital SR usually sits back at the hotel, and I bring this one out with me to have fun with. And I haven't been disappointed with the footage and the pictures and everything I get out of this thing. So when I scratched it, making my video on the Koa Rev e-bike, man, was I kind of pissed off. I had it standing on the Insta360 tripod, and when it's fully extended, it's about this tall. And the feet only spread out, about 8 inches wide. And so the smallest little gust of wind will just blow the thing right over, and that's what happened. I hit the button to take a picture. This is the actual picture that I took that it happened on, and as soon as I turned my back on the camera, it was in the dirt. And the next thing I knew, let me see if you guys can see this. You can see the lens has got pretty nasty white scratch in the lower corner. And actually, let's turn it on. And so when I've been using it now, I know that the side with the screen is the good side, so I've been trying to, be mindful of, using the good side. But as you can see in my last video I made of the Untitled S3 electric skateboard, the dark spot crept into a couple of shots, and I was like, So yeah, I want to fix this thing. Oh, it's taking a picture. Let's put it in video mode, standard. I want to show you, this is the good side. This doesn't have any scratches or anything that I'm aware of. And then this side has got a scratch down here in the lower corner. Probably see it over my face because I'm angling it at the right angle. Here, let's see if it shows up better on this gray work mat. This is the unscratched side and the scratched side. So, power this down. When I don't use my camera, I am very good about keeping my rubber sleeve over the camera to protect the lenses, because with these 360 cameras, the lens actually protrudes on both sides from the body. It sticks out. So if you were to set this down on the table, over time, you're going to get a hazy spot where it touches the lens. So I try not to ever set it down on a bare table. I'll set it down on a cloth like this, or I'll make sure I keep the protective cover on it when I'm not using it. Insta360 does make lens protectors that stick right over the lens on each side, but from the test videos I've seen of people using them, it creates, you can see artifacts, like you can see reflections of something like glare and weirdness. So I wasn't a fan of them, and I didn't get them, and I just decided to risk it for the biscuit.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Now I'm paying the price. Gimbal Guru does a nice how-to video on how to buff this scratches out of this thing. You can check that out here. I was reading the comments on his video, and one thing to be aware of is there is a protective anti-glare coating on this lens. So when you're buffing it, you actually have to buff the entire surface of the lens and remove all of that anti-glare, or you're going to get a weird halo effect from where there is and isn't glare. So you're just going to want to buff the entire lens and get rid of all of your anti-glare. Now, you may experience a little bit more glare in your shots on one side of the camera versus the other. So this side, I think, will always be the good side moving forward, even after we get the scratches buffed out. But I can live with a little bit of glare. I can live with that more than I can live with these floating dark spots in my video. So I would caution you to only do this if the scratches in your video, the scratches on your lens are making large dark spots in your video. If you've just got some really fine ones that, you know, you're nitpicky and you can see them, but nobody else really notices them, I would just leave it because you're probably going to get more. And I would hold off as long as you could. And then once you decided, all right, this is really looking bad, then you're going to go ahead and just buff the entire lens. Okay, so what we got here is we've got the buffing pads. All of this stuff you can find in the links in the description below, so check those out. I've got my old Dremel tool. Now this is a very old Dremel tool and the battery's not so good, so hopefully it lasts 20 or 30 minutes of buffing, so we'll see how that does. And this is the polishing compound. It's called cerium oxide, like maybe ceramic oxide or something, I don't know. But this stuff is supposed to be pretty amazing. And you're going to need a little bit of masking tape. We're going to want to tape off the rest of the camera body just so we don't get stuff all over it. Okay, let's get started. Now, I don't want this stuff flying up and getting all over my shirt and possibly getting in my eyes. So we are going to bust out the DIY lab coat. It's been with me for a while just to protect my Maui & Sons tee. It is a brand new one, so got to keep it fresh. And eye protection, safety first. You know, you never know. Something's going to fly up in your eyes. All right, I've got a little bit of water here. I've got a little tray to put some of the powder in. We'll mix it up in that. So we'll just take a little bit of this powder. Probably don't want to be breathing this stuff in. It's very fine. We'll just take a little bit of this powder here. Put it in our little tray. Put that off to the side. And then we'll take a little bit of water. Add a little bit of water to it. This process should work not only for 360 cameras, but if you've got a GoPro, if you've got a digital SLR lens, if you've got an iPhone lens that's scratched or an iPhone screen, or if you even have like a wristwatch or something that's got a nasty scratch across it, I'm going to try and give it a buff and we'll see how it turns out. In fact, I'm going to get busy buffing all kinds of stuff. And if you hit the link in the description below to my website, I'll post a gallery of before and after pictures of all the things that I buff. See if they look better or not. But be careful of those protective coatings. Okay, let's set this off to the side. Let's open up our buff pads. This is like a lifetime supply of buff pads. You're going to want to use the piece with the screw head, and you just put it in the little hole in there. If you can see that, put it in the little hole, and you just tighten it down. Naturally, just screw in, and now you've got, and you don't have anything exposed on the buffing side. And it should be pretty snug. You're going to want to use the low power setting on your Dremel tool or else it'll just go everywhere. Oh, don't want to forget, we got to tape off the rest of the camera so that we don't get stuff all over the place. There it is, all protected with masking tape. Don't forget to keep your protective cloth down because you're going to be working on this thing and you don't want to be pushing and applying pressure and then scratching up the lens on the other side. So be mindful of that. All right, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to just swirl around on the coat, the wheel with some of the compound. I got a feeling this thing is gonna spray up all over the freaking place. So I'm gonna turn it on low. Actually, what I'm gonna do, yeah, this is probably gonna spray up all over the dang place. Oh my gosh. All right, start the timer. I can already tell my battery's dying. Battery only lasted like 35 seconds. All right, I'm gonna have to recharge this thing. I'm back. I got my battery charged. I don't know how long this battery is gonna last. I did some research and found out that the Dremel tool actually uses NiCad batteries, which are super antiquated and have memory and don't tend to last very long. So if it's donezo, it's donezo. I guess I'll have to buy another one. Sure would like to have a nickel metal hydride solution or a lithium ion solution. And look, our paste has turned into flakes. It has reconstituted or deconstituted, I don't know. So I've been buffing for probably, I don't know, under 10 minutes, maybe like 6 or 7 minutes. And well, this is gonna have to get put through the washing machine. It's looking all kinds of dusty. Yeah, this stuff is kind of a dusty mess. Be prepared to get messy. And I'm looking at it, and you can still it's still got a little scratch down there. But it looks to be getting smaller, less noticeable. So, progress. Maybe another 10 or 15 minutes of buffing and we could be good. Let's continue. Let's clean it off and take a look at what it's looking like. And the good thing about this camera is that it's waterproof, so I can just dunk it in the water and wash it off. I found a nice big wall here with a big solid, kind of plain background. So this is the side of the camera. This is the lens that was A-okay, like no scratches. So this should look fine. So now let's flip it around. Now I'm looking at the lens that I just finished buffing. Can we still see a scratch anywhere on this lens? Also, do we notice any difference in image quality between the buffed lens and the unbuffed lens? Do we notice any type of glare, haze, anything of that sort? Let me know. I think I'm happy with that. So at this point, I'm gonna take all the tape off the camera. I'll give it a nice wash down and see if I can still visibly see the scratch on it. And if not, then let's take it outside, do some test shots, and see what we see. See if the scratch is gone. One more test here. Checking this is the good side, the good lens with no buffing, with the UV coating still intact.
and this is the buff side. From the reflection in the lens, I can definitely see a difference. One is dark and one has more of a mirror-like reflection. But I don't think it's translating into much of a difference in the actual video image. Oh, you be quiet. And so this is the buff side, and that scratch is pretty much all the way gone. I still see like just a touch. I put this thing through like 2 or 3 more 10-minute buff sessions, and I think it's pretty much gone. I'm not really seeing it on the lens anymore. If I look really hard, maybe I see a little something, but other than that, I'm calling this thing a success story. I think we did it, Remy. We did it. We got the scratch out of the lens, Remy. Look. We got the scratch out, Rem. He's excited. We got the scratch out, Rem. Yeah, I'd say it's good to go. So, all right, onward. Let's go get some scratches out of something else.
One downside to buffing your lens is you're basically cramming super fine grain mud into your camera. So after you're done getting the scratch out, you've got this camera that's kind of an off shade of black, and there's like mud caked into all the little crevasses. So to get that out, what I did was I wrapped my camera in a microfiber cloth. Stop popping your fingers, Brighton. I placed that into some water, let that soak for about 10 minutes. Then once it kind of loosened up a little bit, I take, what is this thing called? The ultrasonic Sonic Care Philips. You know, it's one of those ultrasonic toothbrush things, and just kind of go at it a little bit. Be careful not to hit the lens too hard, but like around the lens it was caking in, and then all the grooves on the sides and up and down here. So using the ultrasonic toothbrush really helps get all the nooks and crannies and wiggles all the dirt out. The other thing that happens is the whole camera now is no longer pure black. It's kind of a, you know, like a gray color. So what I plan to use is this product by Meguiar's. I actually use this on my car to turn, you know, the black plastic black again. It's called Ultimate Black. So I'll get a little spot of this, put it on a microfiber cloth, and just wipe the camera down with this, and hopefully it'll be nice and black again.
That about does it for this video. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments about buffing scratches out of your lens, please leave them below. And we'll see you next time.